is next. So what is next for all of you lovely people? Now, hopefully, I will say the advanced course, it is my baby. I put a lot of effort into it, and you will be able to develop that skill set an awful lot more. But let's actually have a nice chat about it today. So I'm going to try focus my hardest on the question box as we go through the information that we need today, folks. So feel free to be as quick as typing in your questions. Support team are here to help, but I will be trying my hardest to get back to everybody myself as well. Okay, now let's just jump straight in here, folks, and talk about the categories that we started from lesson 1. So hopefully everybody remembers these categories from lesson. For category, and we know that that was followed very closely by our designers. I was surprised we did have a lot of enthusiasts on too. But now that the course is coming to an end, do you feel like you are still the exact same? Do you feel like you could move into another one of these categories? Do you feel like you could be possibly in 2 or 3? Whereabouts do you think you all fit now, folks? I mean, obviously, have you moved a little bit? Even if you've just become a better designer or a better photographer because of it, that is always a win as well. Julia coming in saying, I'm thinking about switching to designer, and that's what I like to see. Sarat saying designer. P&E coming in from Brian, which is obviously photographer enthusiast. So again, as long as you've changed a little bit, we've opened your mind up to the idea of using Photoshop for more creative edits, I'm happy. I think that's brilliant. Still in the photography zone with Rana, but yeah, you'll be making nicer pictures, and that's the best thing about it. Okay, that is the best thing about it. Now, so let us move on, folks, because what I'm actually going to do in today's lesson is we're going to split these kind of categories up even more and really define your area of expertise and give you some nice kind of ideas on where you can fit your own creative ideas into. So obviously photography can be split into personal and professional. Okay, now the personal obviously will take in our enthusiasts, it'll take in people who see it as a hobby, people who are just count themselves as amateur, someone who is doing it for the fun of it but not trying to make a bit of money off it. Then we have our professional photography. Okay, we have our web design. Graphic design will encompass a lot. So our graphic design, folks, is pretty much everything. Animation, freehand, digital painters, advertising, marketing. We have architecture. Absolutely, graphic design is in everything. Then we have our web designers, and these are not the hard coders, in case you're thinking you want to learn a bit of coding. This is more of the creative side. I suppose the layout kings or the banner creators. And then we have our enthusiasts, the people with the creative mind that are able to just soak in information and do pretty much anything they ever wanted to. They're the ones we're all jealous of because they're just great at absolutely everything. So, looking at this, I mean, people have already jumped the gun, and I can see that anyway. Where do you feel like you fit in? Peter's coming in still saying personal photography. Lena's a personal photographer. Sarada's coming in with 3 and 4, which is obviously a great combination to have the graphical and the online web presence as well. So you've got your print and your online. Colin's coming in with a 03. Candice wants to move from personal photography to professional photography, and that's absolutely great to hear, Candice, because again, using the likes of Lightroom and Photoshop will allow you to basically have your images stand out that little bit more. Obviously, subtle touches are always the best key to go for, but again, that's what we're here for, to help you learning that. Perfect. So lots of 1s and 5s coming in from Maya's there. There's a lot on that D as well. 1, 2, and 3 from Chantel. Again, the more categories you fit in, the better. It means you've got a wider skill set. But everyone seems to be able to define themselves, and that's the whole idea. You would have came here with a goal. Hopefully that goal is you're one step closer to it now. But being able to define yourself in a specific category, that is a way of saying, I know I have this skill set, and that's the whole idea. So you all know you have that skill set. We do conduct the Lightroom course as well. ABS gets taught by Gary and William. William also teaches the photography course here. If you are thinking about moving on to something like that with the membership, okay? Now, I never really gave much of a background on myself when teaching the course, folks, but I am a continuous learner, much like yourselves. I have over 10 years experience as a graphic designer, but I didn't start off as a graphic designer. I myself obviously started off as an animator, and I used to do a lot of 3D modeling. I got into graphic design because of my love of Photoshop. but I also know how to use Illustrator and InDesign. I am an enthusiast of all creative arts. I'm a photographer, but I'm a photographer, a designer, a 3D modeler, a digital marketer, an enthusiast. But most importantly, I could sum it up that I am a learner. So again, now that you have that skill set, do not just solidify it. Do not just go, I'm happy with that skill set. Always add more on. Even if it's not for the career you're doing now, having that additional skill set will help you at some stage down the line. Like it has myself, where I have now become an educator as well. Okay, and I got all of these skills through a lot of professional help over the years, and doing a lot of online courses, doing a lot of classroom-based courses as well. I have obviously my master's degree as well. But again, that's not something that I just fell into. I pushed myself to get there. Okay, perfect. Now, I did promise folks that I would start off and we would go back over the liquify tool. So I've actually modified my lesson today. So we're going to start off with our personal photographers, and we're going to talk about touch-ups. So let's start. I said idea generation and touch-ups, of course, whether it be professional thing in photography. Okay, whether we are editing our landscapes or our actual photography in terms of our portraits, it's all the same. You need to know the skill set to do it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flick through this image here, folks. I've already done it before and after, but take a good look at my face right now. I'm a beautiful, beautiful man. I've always been this handsome, but the joys of Photoshop is that I'm actually able to do something like this. Okay, very subtle touches, but those subtle touches can do a wonder. Okay, they can make anyone look like a brand new person. Okay, 10 years younger, I am slimmer, I look like I have more hair, which is every man's dream. Okay, and then obviously I added a bit of a color adjustment to brighten the image. So we've already looked at this, these kind of tools, with our healing tools, with our adjustments. So every single one of you here can do this. And the reason I use my own image, taken by William Eames, who teaches our photography course, is to show that you do not need to be a personal, you don't need to be a professional model to have good images of yourself. You just have to know how to take the right photograph, stand in the right spot, have the right light. It definitely helps to have a face like mine, but of course we are all blessed with our beautiful looks anyway, our nice natural looks. So I'm going to jump into Photoshop, folks, and we're going to show you off the liquify tool again. So as you can see, I've got a lot of stuff preempted, ready to go today, because we've got a lot to cover. Being the last lesson, I want to make sure we get the most out of it. We are going to look at our healing tools. We are going to look at very quickly just fixing this image up. So folks, we've already looked at our spot healing. If we zoom in, we know that we have certain spots that we need to fix. So I've already gone and fixed certain spots, but we have this stray hair here. I absolutely hate that one stray hair because obviously I'm nice and curly. If we come down, I know that I have this hair here. So spot heal and remove. Clean up any sort of dandruff that you don't want, folks. Look at that. Lots of dandruff and lots of fluff and stuff like that. If you have any stray hairs, you need to get rid of them as well. Okay, so over here, now we can use our patch tool for this. So it's just about selecting the bad areas, as we know, and replacing it with the good areas. So we're just going to do something like this. And again, we can kind of go big areas at once because of my flawless skin, I suppose we can say. But as you can see, the patch tool does the blends for us. Okay, Michael coming in saying I'm modest too. Look, you have to love yourself, otherwise no one else will love you. But again, folks, the idea is just once you've got your base healing done, this is where the magic happens. This is where we go to up the very top here called filter. So in filter, we're going to go to what we call liquify. Okay, so we come into our liquify tool. It'll give us a brand new pop-up dialog box. Now, no matter what version you have, you will always have the tool that's just here. It's called the forward warp tool. Okay, it's called the forward warp tool. Everybody will have this tool. You might not have some of the other ones if you're using an older version, but that's fine. Everything you want to do can be done with the forward warp tool. Okay, so again, lots of stuff to get covered today, folks. So we're going to do this at a quick, fast pace. Obviously, there is different options over here with the brush tools. But the size and the pressure are the only two you really need to mess around with. But by default, if I click and move, I can reshape my shoulders very, very quickly. So it's just click and push the whole way through, and I can remove any unwanted odd shapes that I have here. I can do the same over here. Look, I've got a bit of a bulge here. Let's try and push this bulge in so it looks a little bit like I'm not as big as I am. Bring our shoulders in. And the joys of it, folks, is again, it's literally moving. So anyone who's ever seen kind of like Photoshop fails on the internet where people are trying to make themselves look a little bit skinnier than they actually are, this is the tool they would be using. Now, when they do it wrong, it's because they never fix the background up behind it. So I have a nice blurred background here. So again, you won't notice too much distortion. So again, we've already learned selection tools. Feel free to cut yourself out from the background. Use anything else then, and that will work quite nice. Or have a nice blurred background. Okay. Christy saying I've seen some really bad liquefies before. And again, folks, it can be done on your face, so we can kind of push in my jawline here nicely. We can do the same here. We can kind of push up my beard if I need to. So I've got a more prominent neck and less chins than I would like to have. Okay. And again, here's our preview, our before and after. So again, time is something that you need to take when doing this. Time is something that I haven't taken at the moment. But again, you can see the difference in the shoulders straight away. The face can definitely be redone. So I'm just going to come back to our reconstruct tool. Does what it says. Reconstructs the parts that I don't want anymore. So I'm going to bring my nice chubby face back out. Okay, leave that the way it is. And we'll do the preview again. So the slight touches, a little bit better now. Now, for anyone who wants to do serious options to the face or anything like that, again, folks, I do this in 2 lessons. We do cosmetic retouching in 2 lessons in the advanced course because we have the time to do it. Again, feel free to play around with it on your own time and upskill yourself. For everyone doing the advanced course with myself, you're going to learn how to do this professionally. Okay. Now, also keep in mind, folks, that if you have the newest version of CC, you will also have what's called Face Aware Liquify. This will allow you to actually select a group shot of people. If there's multiple faces in here, Photoshop will know what face you want to choose by using the Select Face option. And in here, folks, we can do very quickly. I mean, literally so quickly. This would usually take with the Liquify tool a good half hour to an hour to do something really good. Now we can do it in a matter of seconds. So I can completely change how I look in a matter of seconds here. I can come into the face width, kind of make myself look a little bit skinnier, I can make myself sadder or happier, whatever I want. But I suppose I'm not a very gloomy person, so I'll make myself a little bit of a smile. You can change the size of your eyes. So again, you can make your eyes bigger or smaller depending on what you want. Sometimes whatever the angle of the camera is, you might need to make one eye smaller than the other so they kind of match. Whatever you need to do. But the joys is, folks, if we go to preview, we can see the difference. So I'll hit OK here. There is no shortcut for this tool. Again, you'll have to go to filter and liquify. Shortcut is Shift Control X, something that I haven't memorized. In terms of the tools in there, they will have shortcuts that overlap with your toolbar. Okay, so again, before and after, folks. There we go. Only subtle changes, but you can see how it plays a massive difference into how I look. Okay, so do feel free to play around that yourselves, folks. That's just part of, again, the personal photography. Does help with the professional as well. I promised I'd show you all that off. Again, so I hope everybody understands exactly what has happened there. I know it went quite fast, but it's not something that's usually part of the lesson. So again, feel free to have a good look at it. Ahmed said, why is it not affecting the background? It is, Ahmed, but my background is nice and blurred due to the fact that we took a good photo. So it just doesn't look like it's been affected. Okay. Ricky, you can also freeze and thaw certain parts of it. Again, something I look at in the advanced. I don't want to confuse too many people with that, okay? So hopefully everybody understands that, folks. And what we'll do is we'll move on and we'll talk about another idea which I think everybody should put into practice. And that is the photo book. Okay? So obviously, what do we do with all of our final images? We create a photo book. also known as a table book. I have created loads of these myself. I make them for family gifts. I make them for myself. I do them for when every time I go traveling into a new location, a new country. I take loads of photographs. I bring them home and I enhance them in Photoshop. Sometimes I bring my laptop with me because I'm a bit of a nerd. Okay, I think that's been evident. But again, this is what I do. It's a great opportunity to take good pictures, make them perfect. Especially if you're decent with a camera, if you're solid with Photoshop, and then make a lovely memento for yourself. Okay? And there's plenty of opportunities that we will always get to make these kind of photo books. You'll have them to share your memories with others. Most importantly, you will have them to show off your fantastic new skills. So how great will it feel when you're just kind of sitting there talking about how you took these nice pictures and you made the photo book as well? Has anyone else ever made a photo book? Yeah, a few yeses coming in there. In the process of doing hers right now is Hannah. Of course, John, you can feel free to use Lightroom. There's a lot of the tools, the Adobe tools that we have, the different programs, they coincide with each other. So again, InDesign and Lightroom might be a little bit easier to make the photo book, but you will still have to do a lot of the creative editing in Photoshop. So it's about using all of your skill set. Again, folks, just talking about the family portrait here, just talking about how people are obsessed with themselves and how they love the family photo. Okay, if you're having a sound issue, just refresh, folks. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. Again, I was just kind of saying, like, no matter what age you are, you have always been made stand around and do this kind of issue, this kind of thing where you have to stand around, smile for that unhappy kind of moment. But again, it always looks nice when the image is taken. So I can see that Lena's coming in saying they look sad, and again, that's the family portrait, and it's something that most people possibly might not want to do, but it's something that everything, we all have to do it for those happy kind of moments. So again, we have those skills. We know how to edit these. I'm going to take it a step forward in a second. I'm going to jump into Photoshop. But I want to emphasize, folks, when I talk about the family portrait, it's not just your family that we're on about. It's anywhere that you feel like you belong, that you want to cherish. Okay? It's about having that photo because, again, you know yourself, a photo is just something that we can all cherish. It's something that we always hold on to. When it comes to the family portrait, we are guilty of two things. Okay, we are guilty of taking two different styles of images. We have that lovely colored image that really brings out the features, or we have that classic black and white look, the kind of sophisticated look. And these are the two types of images that everybody takes. Would you agree with that? I'm going to jump into Photoshop. I'm going to move on to our next image, and we can see that I have different adjustments added in here. But the joys of it is, folks, is that we can do this quite quickly. So we have an image, we know it's a good image, we can see that there's a lot of blues and a lot of greens in here, so we kind of know what colors we want to keep and what colors we want to edit. And it's as simple as this, it's just one adjustment, the hue and saturation. Okay, so if we come in here and we press our hue and saturation, we are now able to come in and alter this picture. Now we know that if we start changing colors, we will change absolutely everything in the image. But we've looked at this before. Okay, we've looked at this adjustment before. So what we want to do is we want to take our hand, find our green and yellows, and just change the sliders down the bottom here. So we're only affecting those colors. Now, with that in mind, folks, all we want to do is desaturate the image. You can change the colors if you want. This is how we kind of change the hair in the images and stuff like that. So be as creative as you need to be. To get the mix of our black and white and our color, we're just going to lower the saturation of our image. It's as simple as that. That literally, folks, is one click, the hand for a second click, and the saturation. 3 clicks, and we now have a stunning image, okay? Of course, good photography always helps, okay? But we now have a stunning image in 3 clicks. Okay? Now, with that in mind, if you ever notice that the skin tones are affected, we know how to use our masking. So we come in, we make sure we've selected the mask, and we just paint over any spots that we want to make sure the colors are not affected. And then again, with this, the colors are not actually affected that badly, but we can see how we can change our image very, very quickly. Everybody happy enough with that? Victoria coming in saying that she played with this earlier with a bunch of red poppies. So again, it's understanding the colors in your images and how to affect them. So Tanmay, I just used the hue and saturation. For your mask, you use your brush tool. Again, that is covered in lesson 3 and lesson 4, and then a bit of lesson 5 and 6 as well. Okay, so just a bit of inspiration, folks. Find those nice images that you know you can edit and make look nice, okay? For that brilliant kind of touch. Okay, now, again, folks, lots of stuff to get through today. Keeping an eye on the time there. Now, for those of you who want to kind of go a bit more professional, we do always have the idea of stock photography, something that's done a lot. It's a nice way of bringing in a bit of extra cash. But everywhere we go, okay, if you're walking through, you'll always see at least one building that will talk to you about photo restoration, okay? And photo restoration is a big thing. People make a lot of money from it, especially when it comes to digital coloring. But that doesn't mean that's not something you can't do as well. So we've seen the healing tools. We know how to use them, folks. So definitely get onto the bandwagon of photo restoration. Your family will have loads of these images. Okay, your friends might have them, and now that you have that skill set, they will ask you to fix them up. Eventually, strangers might have them, and that's where you get a bit of ching-ching from. Okay, so eventually you can make it into a side business, a freelance business, but once you get good enough with your healing tools, we can do a lot. And then the next step after that is obviously repairing your images and adding a bit of digital color. So colorization, bringing life or breathing life back into black and white images. It's a big thing, folks. Again, if you ever see World War II images or World War I images brought back into color, it changes your dynamic and your view on how these kind of images were taken. It helps you to visualize what the person taking the photograph would have seen. So I definitely recommend a bit of photo restoration. Ronnie coming in saying I love photo restoration, done a bit of it. Ricky's doing a bit of photo restoration and coloring all black and white. I do touch on the photo restoration in the advanced as well, folks. It's part of the advanced selections, the advanced masking lessons, and we touch on it a little bit in our cosmetic retouching as well. So if you don't know how to do it yet, or you are looking forward to do it, you will get to cover it with myself as well. Okay. Brilliant. Okay, so moving on then, folks, with your professional photography. Obviously, the heading is up the top there, gives it away. There's no surprise, but obviously, I am a creative soul. I'd say majority of you are. If you're a photographer, you probably never thought about doing creative portraits. You probably only ever thought of kind of taking those nice images and having them the slight touch-ups. But there's a big area for creative portraits, okay? Just in case you haven't noticed the theme so far of today's lesson, it is to get your brain thinking about your own images and how you're going to make them better by adding creative touches, okay? Add a bit of love to your work and make those images pop or stand out from the crowd. Basically, have something different to show off. So for anyone who has gone and already tied the knot, for anyone who is a wedding photographer anyway, think about how you can improve your images, okay? Think about how great it's going to look with your extra skills when we can take these nice photos and we can give someone else the gift of a cherished memory, okay? I just think it's quite nice. And again, yeah, you can obviously do this with wildlife photography, again, making certain stuff pop out with the actual adjustments. Of course, it doesn't matter what kind of creative portrait you go for, but again, it does help no matter what. So again, we can take any sort of image, folks, any sort of image at all, and we can make it stand out because of the skill set that we all now have. It might sound like the obvious advice, folks, but obviously good images, good photos, they make good creative portraits. If you take a good photo, you'll be able to take that image and then the possibilities that you will have will be amazing. Okay? Again, the idea, folks, is that we can take any image, bring it into Photoshop, and we can have it look completely different without even having to remove an element in that image. So we can change the seasons. So we can have an image like this, and we can completely change the seasons to have a more winter scene. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to jump into Photoshop. I'm going to show you how I do this as well. Okay. Lena, that's a good comment. I don't want to read it out just in case I upset too many people. Indian wedding is a bit different. Again, folks, use your culture as your inspiration. That's what I will always say. Use your culture as your inspiration. So again, we have some fake snow, we have a hue and saturation, and we have a different image. Let's come in and delete both of these, and we'll start afresh. So we have a nice image. What we're going to do, folks, with this nice image is we're going to add on a hue and saturation. So again, this is going to be done so quick that you'll see how many clicks is needed for something like this. We know we have a lot of greens, there's a lot of browns, there's a little bit of yellows because obviously the greens of the foliage will have yellow in it as well. So we grab our hand, we select our color, and we adjust our sliders so we have the yellows and greens included. Okay, simple as that. Now, again, we don't need to touch the hue or saturation this time. All we need is the lightness. So we're going to brighten up the lightness. Now, depending on how snowy you want it to be, you can go a little bit, keep that kind of green tone in there. You can go a lot and have a full white image, or you can do a kind of mix in between. So we'll just go a lot for demonstration purposes. Okay. Now, as you can see, we have gone and changed this entire image. It's completely changed. Here's our before and our after. Completely changed so quickly. If you need to go back over skin tones, we know to use our brush tool. We know to kind of just paint over with black on our masking and bring skin tones back to life. Okay? If needed. We know how to do that because we understand our masking at this stage as well. Okay, someone say the corner is a bit greenish. The corner is not green. There's a lot of browns still left in there, and you can add another mask on if you another image adjustment on and change the browns if you don't want them in there as well. Again, use your head, use the common knowledge that you have on your skill set. In terms of adding on the snow, not a difficult thing to do. My brush essentials lesson that is in the advanced will show you how to do this in great detail. Again, it needs to be covered in a whole lesson because it's using brushes. So we're going to come in here. I have some pre-downloaded brushes installed. So we'll just take a brush. Okay, come in, change the color to white. And just add in some snow. Can everybody see how I've added that snow in? It's literally just a brush tool. That's all it is. If I lower the brush size, we can see how the snow is coming in. We've added snow in. So there's snow falling here quite quickly in this one, but I have plenty of different brushes in here with snow. And I've just installed them to my machine, folks. They're just literally brushes in here. Again, add a mask on if you want to make sure you still highlight the actual person. I'm just going to go back to my normal brush. And just kind of remove the snow off the people. So they're still in the highlight. Okay, like so. And there you go, brand new image. Okay. So that is, again, just a nice technique for everybody. Again, it's just 3 or 4 clicks with the hue saturation and then just your brush tool to add in snow. If you want to get your own brushes, folks, I'd recommend you check out a site called Brush Easy. brusheasy.com, okay? You'll see loads of brushes there. And how to install them, everything like that. Again, covered in the advanced, but again, folks, it's just something that I wanted to make sure you understand what you can do with the skill sets that you have now. Okay, perfect. So, folks, going to move on to design now, and obviously, I am a graphic designer by trade, I suppose we can say. So, this is something that I'm extremely interested in. Graphic design to me is just amazing, and the joys of it is that because we can be creative, but we can also add our personality into it. So by saying that, again, we can be quite funny with it. Take your inspiration from everywhere, okay? Why not take your favorite album cover and remake it? Or even better, make your favorite album cover with cute animals. So obviously cute animals will include puppies and cats, okay, or kittens. They're always preferred, but feel free to experiment with your favorite cubs, your calves, your cygnets, your ducklings, your piglets, whatever you want to go for. But I think these examples here speak for themselves. I particularly love the Let It Be Beatles one. But you can let me know which one you think is your favorite. The Kiss one is quite good because, again, there's a lot of little bits of work on it, so the cats have the makeup on it as well. Again, feel free to make your own covers if you want as well, Peter. That's perfectly fine. Obviously, you have the skill set. You know where to go. That Lisa is loving the Kiss. So is Shani. Kiss seems to be the favorite at the moment. As Shelley's saying, the band one should be called Hiss instead of Kiss for the cats. Good, clever pun there. But I like the Let It Be. That's my favorite one there. But again, folks, it's about using your creativity and the skill set that you have to make a fantastic cover design, posters, everything else, okay? Now, with that in mind, folks, as I said, graphic design is everywhere. So you may have already noticed that, everywhere you look, you're going to see graphic design. Understanding Photoshop now means that you can very quickly, if you wanted to, with a decent photo and a few adjustments, become the next James Bond. You probably didn't even know you were in the running for it, but again, with some nice adjustments, understanding how to use your masking and everything else, you can be the next James Bond. Or you can impress your friends and become Nicolas Cage, which will obviously make everybody smile with some selections and a bit of masking. Okay? And obviously then, folks, it's just to really get you thinking, I have quite a famous kind of franchise here for anyone who's never heard of Star Wars. It's a very famous franchise. I'm sure everybody's heard of Star Wars, but I'm going to play it down as if it's not that big of a deal. But it is. But if you look at this photo, folks, think about the amount of work that went into this one photo, the amount of layers that we have covered for just this photo, the amount of images that would have been have to taken from separate sources, all of the color grading that's done, so different gradients, we have different overlays, we have so many different photographs in here, we have typography added in, absolutely everything that's needed. Again, I've already asked folks, but how many layers can you have in Photoshop? I'm sure everybody's going to get this right because I've kind of mentioned it. But yeah, Chantel, huge amount of work in this image. 8,000 coming in. Jordan, Chantel, Cindy, absolutely brilliant. And folks, that is a question in the final assignment, so make sure you remember that. Okay, there's a quick answer for yourselves. It's locked in for you now. But the joys of looking at this, folks, and seeing the amount of wonderful that work that went in. This would have been a team of people, but even then, there would have been a head designer that would have got to go where the placement of everything is. The joys of the skills we have now, and as I was talking about, putting a bit of your personality into it, is that we can make a mockery of someone's nice work by adding your face all over it. So I am the Last Jedi, as you can see here, but the joys of it is that we know how to do this now. Okay, we know that if we jump into Photoshop, I don't have time to show you this, but again, looking at the layers panel, we can see that it's a load of different layers. I have my face planted all over it. I have different adjustments to change the color tones, and we can be as creative and as funny as we need to be, okay? Because that's the joys of it. We do get to be as fun as we want to be, okay? So feel free, again, make a gift for somebody, take their favorite movie poster and put them into it. It's a nice gift for anybody. Again, with our graphic designer, folks, we have our creative portraits. So again, it's just taking it from a more graphical point of view. So you can have that kind of sketch style using masking. We don't even need to be, it doesn't need to be of people, folks. But again, you can work it as lovely wall art. We can make movie posters of ourselves. There's so much that we can actually do. Christy, there is 8,000 layers. Okay, 8,000 layers was the answer to that question. Okay, again, going on, folks, a lovely one that I like to talk about is double exposure. For anyone who enjoys this technique, I definitely recommend you learn how to do it. For everyone going into the advanced, you will learn it with myself. If you're not moving on, definitely look into it. It is an incredible technique. Not that difficult to do, okay? There's a few more steps to it than kind of the stuff that we looked at today, but it does give an amazing effect, double exposure. So some nice cool ideas here for you folks. Make your own images. Again, surprise people with nice gifts. You have the skill set, make somebody's day as well, okay? And again, this is one that I taught the students how to do in the advanced. So this is my own creative image just here that we only done recently when I was showing double exposure. So I threw it into the slideshow for you all today, so you can see how quickly we can kind of, and all of the images that you see here, folks, were found on Pixabay. So do check out Pixabay yourselves, okay? All of the images, you'll be able to actually mimic what I have here. It's creepy cool. That's what I was going for, Lisa. Thank you very much. Coming in saying it was creepy cool. Perfect. Okay, now onto our web design, folks. Again, web design is a profession that kind of stands out. We know it's used today a lot. Okay, we know it's everywhere. The internet obviously has taken everybody by storm for a long time now, so there's a lot of work in web design, and we can use Photoshop for mock-ups, and a good design is needed. So again, just going to show you, this is something that Kevin covers in his graphic design course. But just to show you the amount of layers that can actually be needed for something like this as well. We can see we have folders after folders here of just layers, folks. Folders of folders in here. So if I toggle stuff off, you'll see it starting to disappear. So good organization. And what would happen is, because we have this split up, when we sent this over, it would be dissected for the web team to put up as a website with all of the hard coding. So obviously another side to it to look into. Look, and even again, you know, best, there's myself down here, Philip J. Cal, leaving a nice comment on it. Okay, but the joys of web design, obviously, folks, is that you get to understand color, and color will make every design better. Now, obviously, color is used in absolutely everything. Okay, there's different types of color charts. There's different ways of looking at it, but it is something that you need to understand. So I definitely recommend, again, looking into and delving into the education of how to use color. Okay, now moving on, finally, folks, we have our enthusiasts, and everything I've covered today can be covered by our enthusiasts. I just want to get that across. I will send over the link for Pixabay now in a second. I'm also going to send over a second link to a website where you can very easily go and make your own designs become alive. So again, folks, if you're an enthusiast, use your creative mind. Use that mind that you have to make yourself a little bit of money on the side. Take an image of yourself, plant it on a t-shirt. You'll never know who might want to buy it. Okay? There's a lot of sites out there where you can make a little bit of extra cash from this. I'm going to send over the link now, which is called Redbubble, okay, folks, and I definitely recommend you check it out. You can create phone covers using Photoshop. You can make t-shirts, bags, absolutely everything on this site. It's been sent over there now, folks. Have a look at it when you get a chance, okay? Absolutely perfect. Okay. Now, obviously, folks, we've already looked at the postcard, but I wanted to give you something new before we come on to the advanced. So I wanted to show you something else very quickly here, and that is how to use a clipping mask, okay? So we've already looked at our normal masks, but I have 3 layers here, okay? I have my resource background, which is the Cliffs of Moher. I have a text file, which is a text layer, and I have a gradient on top. Now, pay attention to this, folks, because again, it's going to be quite quick. All you have to do is right-click on the layer, make sure it's above the text, right-click on the layer, and go to Create Clipping Mask. What this will do is overlay the image on top of our text layer. So we now have an even more important kind of looking postcard. So again, what I'll do is, I hold Alt or Option and find this logo, I can actually undo it, or we can right-click. But I'm going to swap the images around. Image on top, text is still in the middle, and we're going to right-click, Create Clipping Mask. And then we have the image within the text instead. So feel free to make any sort of gradients, any sort of kind of styled images like this. Again, covered in great detail, folks, later on in the graphic design course and the advanced Photoshop course. Something that, if you're a member here with us, I definitely recommend you check out. As many courses as possible. Build up your skill set. That's pretty much what I'm trying to get across. Build up your skill set. Janet's done this 3 times already, so obviously understands how to use the clipping mask as well. And clipping masks are quite good for affecting with your adjustments as well, folks, okay? Now, so close to the end of today's lesson, folks, which means we are close to the end of the course. Before we do finish up officially, looking at the kind of stuff that we sped through today, lots and lots of information out there, lots of wonderful tips and tricks, and lots of different things that I want you to play around with. How do you feel now? If you were to put yourself into one of these options, or if you gradually wanted to get into a second one, what would it be? Obviously, the enthusiast will fit in everywhere. So if you're just an enthusiast, you know yourself, you fit into all other 4 categories. But how do you feel, folks? Colin coming in at 1, 2, 3, and 5. Leaving the web design behind. Again, web design is for a specific type of people. You have to have the head for it. I prefer the more freelance graphic design, like logo design. I love to do a bit of typography design. Type pictures are great as well, folks. Alicia's coming in full 3, graphic designer. FJ 2, 3, and 5. So again, looking for a bit of everything. That's the joys of Photoshop, folks. It's used in everything. So keep building that skill set up. If we ever somehow manage to hit back into each other in a year's time, I want to see the skills that you have then. You will have a wonderful set of skills after you finish the next 12 weeks of your advanced course as well. So we get to see it. And there's different challenges every week which will help you out with that as well. Okay, lots of 1, 2, 3s, lots of 3s coming in, which is great graphic design. Again, be creative. Lou coming in saying Photoshop is not so scary now. To me, that's the ultimate win. It's a very haunting looking machine because obviously it has so many buttons, but I'm glad you know how to use it. Robin coming in all but web. A lot of people saying in the 2s and the 5 and the 3 is definitely winning there. Absolutely perfect. So folks, we've come to the end, but again, it's not the end for everybody. So what's next? Have a look here. This is the syllabus of the advanced course. So we do have our advanced selections, advanced layers, brush tools, and cosmetic retouching. So it's like the advanced version of this course. All of the tools you've already learned, but obviously we take a lot more time. We do 2 lessons on each option a week, and you're going to really learn the skills that you need to better yourself with Photoshop. Working with tape, with text and shapes for logos, scale and perspective for open training session, something that I love because that's what it has in our creative department. The truth in all goals are the same. It's not a one size fits all for the incredible short weeks.